Yeah.
Maybe with
around
like,
our heads.
Yeah.
And around our faces
Heck,
too. We just have like a
yes.
circle around each face.
And then the circle has like our Twitter.
And then like Pikachu is the judge in between us.
Oh yes. Did you see Samuel Jackson?
Oh, so Nugget came on yesterday. He came back from your stream, and then he's like, "Wait, this is not Zach."
I kept telling him.
He was so confused, even though I guess you told him.
He's the guy who donated.
Oh, he was watching it on YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jack, because
so he was on Twitch and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That's funny.
Yeah, he
an ex-Tum brother and Banana is here, who wants to go by Tim, even though his Twitch name is Bananas Here. I kept calling him Bananas Here. He's like, no, call me Tim with an E. It was TEM.
I'm sorry, man. I'll work really hard on calling you Tim and not Banana.
Julia sent that one to you.
And I said, shit my streamer husband says would be an excellent Twitter.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's the new Twitter right there.
Oh my gosh,
okay. Yes. So as long as we record in Audacity, no matter what happens on stream, it should be fine.
Okay.
So let's just keep running that in the background.
Hot.
Let's make sure YouTube.
That's probably a good thing to do anyway, because...
So let's just keep running. Yeah, because it's not linked to the internet. Let's make sure okay. So that looks good. And then we want to still write a show note, maybe. Later. I thought I was going to say it crashed.
Oh, yeah.
Everything crashed. What did we say?
Do we want to show the polls?
Yeah, I don't know if I put up the...
Both of them had like 9 votes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't check. Because I put up the Square Enix one like really late.
Yeah.
Square Enix, 78%. Wow, man.
I couldn't believe Nintendo.
77% Nintendo, man. Even though everyone's super pissed about Pokemon and Animal Crossing right now. Okay, well, we should do a short recap of our E3 thoughts because I don't think anyone listened to the audio. It was really bad. 2019 poll updates. Do we want to do gaming this week?
If we do, let's do it at the end.
Okay. Okay. Poll updates. Explain the debate. Debate will work. Then, who wants to get the first point? Is it the pro or against?
The like.
Is it pro or?
I would think you would go first.
Pro or against first in a debate?
I don't think there's I think it's a coin flip.
Is it? First, the affirmative team begins. Okay.
Both begins and ends the debate.
Oh, sucks to be you.
Oh, shit.
Well, it doesn't have to be that way. So, Luke's point 1, Zach's point 1. We'll let you end it.
Okay.
Luke. Counter points.
So I have kind of like an introduction too. Should I make that like just a point?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter. I wrote
Should we intro the debate, you think? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Intro what we're debating. That makes sense. Yeah, without giving away our points.
Right.
So, okay. Let me pull up my notes. I didn't really organize them super hot, so this is going to be interesting.
Mine are pretty solid. Got some nice quotes. Got my cited sources.
The source I sent you.
MLA. I found that I got like 4 articles.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Do you have... You might want to pull up that restream chat just in case.
Is anyone here? Can you hear us? Look at that. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
It's probably Megan. She doesn't chat.
That's true. Hi, Megan.
She watches on YouTube, though, right?
I think so.
Does she watch anything on Twitch ever?
I don't think so.
I don't even think I watch things on Twitch.
She knows Twitch exists, but she's not interested.
Oh, wow. There was a Twitter discussion today. $400 device. Oh, I always forget they're in Canada, man.
Oh yeah.
$400 for the Switch and $80 for games.
Yep.
Sucks. Okay. Do we feel like we're ready then?
I'm ready to go.
So another idea I had, which we can talk about more later, is if, especially when you go to Multnomah, if we're feeling like we only want to do it every other week, we could just do 2 podcasts in one Friday and batch them together.
It's fine with me.
I mean, it would only count as one live stream, but
even if
not that many people are going to watch the podcast live stream anyways, I feel like.
I feel like we could do it on Skype or Discord and it wouldn't be too different either. But whatever. I'm probably going to I want to get like a blue Yeti.
Yeti.
Blue Yeti.
Bright spaghetti. We good? What games did you play this week? Did you play
Hyrule
Warriors.
Splatoon.
I know. All I played was Splatoon and Dead Cells.
Dude, I was playing Splatoon often.
Thank you. Who is this guy? Austin Shute?
Shooty.
It says happy birthday to his friend Koo Inc. It must be a Splatoon thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Koo Inc. That's a Splatoon 2 reference.
Right.
It's a type of ink that comes out of your splat roller. Right?
I thought you were gonna say anus. Yeah. Anyway, happy birthday.
No. Koo. It's Koo.
Quink.
You're the worst, Austin.
Whatever. I'll say whatever you want for $2. No, just sound it out.
We are sounding it out, but with an Asian ring to it because it sounds like an Asian name to us. So I'm gonna say it's Koo Inc.
I think so. Maybe Chew.
Nope.
No. Okay.
I think it's Koo for sure.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Well, interesting start to the podcast already.
For sure.
This time we were hip to his moves at least.
Yeah, darn right. We're never falling for that again.
We definitely are.
We are.
But maybe it'll encourage more people to super chat us.
For sure. I mean, we've already made like $8 based off of this. You know?
But Google takes half of our dirty money.
Austin, next time, can you just give us the money in person? Come on.
If you give us the money in person, then I'll say it out loud.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely not.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. Are we ready?
I don't know. Can I even recover from that?
I don't think either of us can.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome for the second time ever to Gaming on Trial.
Woohoo!
Your favorite attorneys here.
Luke.
Yeah, Luke. I'm Zach. You being the jury. Welcome in. We're excited to have you here today.
Yes. For those that don't know, our podcast has been updated to Gaming on Trial because we want to focus on debating really hot, important gaming topics that affect all gamers, whatever platform you're on. It doesn't matter. These debates, these discussions matter, and we also need to hear your opinions as the jury on what is the correct decision. And for those of you that tuned in last week, we had audio issues on the live stream, and that kind of rolled over into the podcast. So sorry for that. I'm assuming no one actually got through the entire podcast because it was pretty rough. But we wanted to post it just so that you guys could know we're still working on this. And unfortunately, with those problems, it kind of ruined the rest of the podcast. But it sounds like we have fixed it. Streamlabs OBS is some reason giving us problems, but we're working on workarounds, and we should have solid audio this week. If you're listening to it, then congratulations, it's solid audio already. So most of you missed our E3 2019 recap and who we thought our winners were. So we're going to do maybe just like a short 2 minutes each condensed down our 15-minute podcast last week. Zach, why don't you go first? What were your main highlights and thoughts?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about E3 and my top 3 presentations of E3. Number 1, Microsoft. Number 2, Square Enix. Number 3, Nintendo. Just some great conferences all around. I thought it was a very exciting E3 with plenty of great reveals. And I think some of the stuff that we talked about from E3, one of the big overarching things of E3 is going to kind of inspire our debate today as well. Almost every conference had in some way some kind of game streaming announcement with the exception of a Nintendo. But really everything kind of revolved around E3, revolved around streaming. But so I'm excited to talk about that today.
Yeah, that's going to be our debate for today. My thoughts were similar to yours. I had Microsoft first, Ubisoft in second, and Nintendo in third. Kind of the reason why we said Nintendo in third, even though in our poll you guys pretty much said all Nintendo. It was like 20% Microsoft, 80% Nintendo. The reason why I didn't like Nintendo's presentation was I wasn't a huge fan of the Nintendo Direct instead of doing an actual live conference. I thought the live conferences were a lot more fun, even though maybe they're not as clean as Nintendo's Direct. And then the announcement of Animal Crossing getting delayed felt really bad. Even though Breath of the Wild 2 was an amazing announcement, it's like who knows how far out that actually is.
Right.
And so that's why I bumped them down, but I can understand why a lot of people are still really hyped over Nintendo's E3, even though for me it was like, oh, okay, I already know most of the stuff that they're announcing. So.
Yeah, my top 3 highlights of each of my top 3 conferences were Animal Crossing for Nintendo, the Avengers game with Square Enix, and I think Cyberpunk for Microsoft. I'm really excited for Cyberpunk, and I love me some Keanu.
Yep. And the reason why I think Microsoft really won it for me was their messaging about just playing games however you want to play it, wherever you want to play it, opening up Game Pass to PC, and now they're working on other platforms. They got Project xCloud on their phone now. And so, yeah, as you said, a lot of these companies, including Ubisoft and Square Enix, is now thinking about selling game subscriptions. We thought this would be a good time. Everyone's talking about it. Oh, man, are we going to have a Netflix of gaming that takes over? Is there going to be one company? Is there going to be 10 different subscriptions? Is this a good thing? Are we going to be wasting more money? Are we going to be saving money? What's the benefits? What's the pros and cons? So that's our debate today. And how it's going to work, how we've decided, is we're going to try to set it up as much of a team debate that you'd kind of see in a high school or college level. I haven't been a part of a debate team myself. Have you?
I don't think a professional one. I've definitely done debates in school, but not a actual debate team.
Yeah, so if you're a professional debater,
right,
I don't know if that's what they call them. Hopefully not. Don't say it. You've already said it too many times. Hopefully you're not too upset at us. But here's how we're going to do it. We're going to go point by point, back and forth, without interrupting each other. And then at the very end, we'll do counterpoints so that we can go back and forth. We have decided that my dog is annoyingly loud, so I'm going to take off his collar. Sorry about that.
Very good.
And we've decided that each of us are going to pick a side and flip for it. I won the flip, so I chose I'm for subscription-based gaming. Zach is against it for the sake of the debate, but we're not going to share our personal opinions until next week's podcast because we don't want it to skew the debate. This is purely debate based on our research, based on what we could pull to make an argument, not necessarily what we think. And then next week we will reveal to you guys what exactly we think, and then hopefully throughout this week you guys have already voted in on the Twitter polls so that we can understand what you guys think and where you're coming from.
Yep.
And does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did I explain it all?
Yeah, I think you did a fantastic job. One thing I'm also kind of wondering in the future of when we put up these Twitter polls, should we do 2 separate Twitter polls? One that is, what is your opinion on this subject? And then one that is, who won the debate?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing because most people are, if they just see the Twitter poll, they are simply going to post whatever they think rather than hearing our debate out.
Right.
So yeah, let's do that. That's going to be interesting. I don't know how to make that work right, but maybe the debate one specifically will link in the podcast so that you know this is based completely on the podcast. You can decide whether Zach was the smarty pants of the week or if I happen to be the one that you guys think had a better argument, not necessarily what you guys think.
Sure.
Does that work? Okay.
I think that works fantabulous.
Okay. So, are we ready for the debate? Debate!
I'm so glad we still get to say that.
I know.
I was worried about losing that.
All right. So, I'm pro subscription-based gaming moving into the future, that this is the way of the future, and this is how it's going to be pretty much for the rest of our lives.
Okay.
Especially 5 to 10 years down the road. And my first point of why this is a good thing is because I think overall, for most gamers, it's going to be cheaper than buying new games for $60 each time you want to go out and buy a new game. Now, you can say, okay, well, it kind of sucks because right now I have to choose between, do I want an Ubisoft subscription, Square Enix, Microsoft, PlayStation, whatever it is, Google Stadia. There's so many subscriptions. You're like, man, I'm going to end up having to pay $15 or $10 for each of these subscriptions, and it's going to end up being, $80 a month. Oh my gosh, if I want all these games. First off, you don't have to have all the subscriptions at the same time.
Sure.
Let's say I wanna familiarize myself with Ubisoft for a bit. So I'm gonna spend 3 months paying $15, playing their new games.
Okay.
Playing maybe through a backlog game that interests me. Maybe I missed an Assassin's Creed and now I get the chance to play it. Maybe after those 3 months, I'm like, you know what? Ubisoft, I've had fun with you for those 3 months, but I want to try something different. Who's to say I can't just cancel my Ubisoft subscription and then go get Microsoft Game Pass?
Okay.
All of a sudden now I have access to all these Microsoft games I haven't had for months.
Yep.
So it doesn't mean that you have to be locked into one company forever. If you are a fan of one company, that would be amazing. Like if you're just an Ubisoft fan, that's an awesome thing.
Sure.
Me, I'm a Nintendo fan. If they came out with a $20 subscription per month and you got every single Nintendo game and then they added some backlog games as well, that would be amazing. I would certainly pay $20 a month for that rather than buying a new Nintendo game every 2 or 3 months for $60.
Yeah.
While that may end out to be similar prices, you'll also get a lot of backlog for Nintendo. At least that would be my choice.
Right.
And if they put in like N64 games too, or even just like Wii games, like that would be amazing. I think that would be an excellent value. Nintendo doesn't lose anything. They're just adding their old backlog games that no one is buying anymore anyways. People are just pirating them.
Sure.
So I think that's a win both for Nintendo and for me or whatever company it is. I think it also allows me to familiarize myself with more companies because I would be willing to say, hey, I don't really know much about Square Enix besides the Final Fantasy game I played 15 years ago and I don't remember anything about. And now I'm just going to check them out for a few months. So it would help me to fall in love more with more companies over time as well. And especially, I feel like there's just so many new games out there right now.
Yeah.
There's big AAA titles from so many companies. There's so many good indie games now, which is amazing. But I'm tired of buying AAA games for $60, also having to pay indie games $20 to $30 a month as well, because each month it seems like there's a new indie game that really blows up and takes over, and all of a sudden you're missing out because you're not going to drop $30 and that $60 game at the same time.
Sure. But
if they're packaging some of these indie games with those big companies as well, then I'm going to get a ton of value out of that. And just really quick, as I end my first point, just a couple quotes here. From thegamer.com, this is EA. They're saying that the game time from people that use subscriptions versus just buying individual games increased the number of games they played by 40%, increased the amount of time they played by 20%. So obviously they're seeing more value as a gamer.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll end it there.
Okay.
That's my first point, is that I feel like it's really a good value for us as consumers over time.
Okay. I agree with that stance, and I think that's a hard stance to argue, is that it is a good deal. Because unquestionably, getting 100+ games a month for $15 a month is a much better deal than getting one game a month for $60 a month. But more what I'm thinking in the overarching time that is going to be spent investing into game streaming, is it going to continue to be the great deal that it presents itself to be now? this year, Netflix's content budget is expected to reach $15 billion. Variety reported earlier that the additional $2 billion in debt will bring Netflix's long-term debt to around $12.3 billion.
Okay.
Variety now points out, and it also says that Netflix hasn't paid down any significant amount of this debt to date.
Wow. When was that?
This was April of this year.
Interesting.
And so obviously Netflix has something that is worked tremendously well and has what we think made them a lot of money. But they're in all of this debt. And I'm not saying that they can't recover from it, but it's still unquestionable that they have this debt that they have yet to pay any amount off of.
Okay.
And movies cost a lot less than video games cost. Not to produce, but in the sense of when I used to buy a DVD, DVDs would cost me $20, a Blu-ray maybe $25. When we're buying video games, we're spending $60+ on a video game usually. And so with that, I would imagine, I'm also guessing they're not going to reveal these statistics, but I would imagine the rights for a video game are going to cost a lot more than the rights for a movie are going to cost, because you have a lot more that you're going to have to invest in your market. So something that I'm concerned about is, does this price start to increase over time? And the obvious answer is yes. Of course, it's going to, a buck or two every couple, maybe every year, bumps up $2, $3, whatever. But kind of my big question in all of this is this really something that consumers have asked for? This is Lane Nooney, a video game historian at NYU, says there is quickly becoming too many choices, too many products, and we've still seen zero consumer experience. I think this might be an example of executives thinking they are solving a problem that no one asked to solve. So kind of my thought in all of this is, well, are people asking for game streaming? Do we have the money on our own to, obviously people have shown that they are willing to, and oh my
Should we
goodness.
take a break?
I guess so.
Sorry, right in the middle of your point.
Shoot.
Don't worry.
So good too. Hey, I'm gonna entertain this podcast for a little bit. Hi, I'm Zach. If you're interested, here's some of the things that we'll be talking about on the podcast. Well, we're debating on the podcast, but something I wanted to talk about while Luke is going and seeing who's at the door is we stream every single day. Hey, Luke, how's it going? He's coming back up.
I think it was like an internet company or something, but he's going door to door on a Segway.
What? What? No way!
He's going on this. He just ran out.
What?
It's genius, you know.
If you
don't have
didn't
to
hear
go to
that,
door on foot anymore.
what the heck? Going door to door on a Segway?
Think about this is our next debate. The invention of the Segway. How is that going to affect door to door salesmen, Mormons,
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witnesses?
Holy crap!
Man, it's going to change everything.
Dude, if becoming a Mormon would get me a Segway, I am in.
Every mission comes with
Your
own personalized Segway.
Please.
Okay. Well,
Wow.
that was unfortunate timing, right in the middle of the quote.
Shoot.
So I don't know how far
Okay.
back you want to restart.
I'll reread.
In the podcast, I'll edit it.
Yeah, okay. But I'll reread this
Okay.
quote.
Yeah.
This is Lane Nooney, a video game historian at NYU, which is a real job. There is quickly becoming too many choices, too many products, and we've still seen zero consumer experience. I think this might be an example of executives thinking they are solving a problem that no one asked them to solve. So in this, I kind of feel like she makes a very good point of saying that we have not had hardly any experience with game streaming itself yet. We don't know if it's a model that is going to work for us. Is it something that we're very interested in? With the exception of like Xbox Game Pass and the EA one has lasted for a little bit, and a little bit of PlayStation, but such a small experience of game streaming compared to what they're trying to make game streaming now. It has been blown super out of proportion of just guessing, hey, this is probably going to work. And when we watch it, like, yes, it seems like it's going to be something that works, but is it going to be sustainable enough for it to last for as long as we hope that it would, or as long as Netflix has and Hulu has? This is a scary thing, and the price that it could cost all of us in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And would it mean that this lasts for 5 years and then everyone just goes, whoa, we gotta stop this. We gotta go back to the old ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then are we gonna want to go spend $60 on a video game anymore?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
that's a good point.
There's my main point. 1.
Okay. All right. Well, my main point 2 is that I do think this is actually good for businesses. I was reading a Polygon article which reports on gaming and movies and stuff like that, and they're making the case that businesses love subscription services because it's constant revenue that they know they can count on.
Yes.
And it actually reflects in their stock market as well, because people want to invest in things that have a constant revenue versus, hey, we are making a $60 game. We have no idea if it's going to be a flop or the biggest game of all time.
Right.
Take a huge risk on us.
Right.
People love consistency. They want to know that they're going to make at least some money, and they would rather make some money than the chance of pretty much just losing it all or making this huge earning. So for businesses, it's going to give them more flexibility. One of the things I think will come out of that is more creativity in games. The guy from EA, Mike Blank, the senior vice president, thinks that there'll be having subscription will be more ripe for innovation and experimentation. Okay. Because you don't have to rely on a $60 blockbuster big title game to keep people interested. You just keep people interested into your subscription service, and you might have a big blockbuster every once in a while that keeps people coming back, but you can have more experimental and cooler indie games and try new ideas, because if they flop, it doesn't matter. Your subscription is what's bringing in your money. So there's giving a freedom to developers. There's publishers who are now able to rely on a constant revenue instead of just guessing up what's going to happen. EA said they made 300% more from their subscription service gamers than their non-subscribers, which is a pretty big deal. And it doesn't say how many numbers are doing which one, so maybe that's just part of it is just volume, but they seemed pretty pleasantly surprised by how much the subscriptions has helped them. Microsoft said the same thing. The total number of games played almost increased by 40%, including titles outside of the Xbox Game Pass catalog. So not only did it help them with the pass, but it helped them outside of that as well. It says they also said on average we see a 25% increase in franchise pre-orders and 10% increase in franchise sales from Xbox Game Pass members compared to non-members. So the two big players in this are saying this has been really helpful to our company. Now, the flip side is I think there is some concern for indie companies. You know, how is the revenue share going to work? Yeah. You know, Spotify is like, hey, all these indie bands, they're like, crap, we're getting like 5 cents a month.
Right.
Woohoo! Like, that sucks. So I think while that does harm them, they're going to have to make some changes as well. And I think the ones that thrive will be the ones who are creative. So a subscription base might give you a bigger audience because more people are willing to try different games.
Sure.
So more people will play your game. You might not make as much money off of it, but then maybe you can be creative, sell merchandise, sell DLC on top of that, or microtransactions, which I know we don't love now because we're already paying $60 for a game and then having to pay microtransactions. But I love supporting games that I play, especially ones that are free. Like I played League of Legends for like 8 years and I never paid a dime. I'm like, you know what? I know they already make a bunch of money, but I should be willing to buy a skin every once in a while just to support them because I've gotten 9 years out of this freaking game for free. So I don't care throwing $20 every once in a while into it. So indie games, yes, it's a little scary for them, but I feel like they can be more creative. If they gain a good audience, they will also still be able to make some good revenue. And then one other thing is I agree to your first point that, you know, it's going to make or break some companies. But I think what's going to happen, and Phil Spencer says this as well, he says, I don't think there's going to be 100 game streaming services. they're all throwing it out there right now because it's new and everyone's trying to get to the top. But eventually, some of these companies are going to have to consolidate or just give up and join someone else's.
Yeah.
And that's where we'll see our Netflix, our Hulu, and maybe like Amazon Prime. Maybe we'll have top 3 or 4 gaming subscriptions, and they'll kind of consolidate, giving us more and more options and more games through one subscription service instead of having the 50 to 100, because eventually not every company is going to be able to keep up that subscription model.
Sure.
So that's my point too.
Yeah, I like that, and I think that's a good idea of what it could look like for indie developers. It still concerns me, I guess, a little bit of the idea of something like Minecraft really taking off the way that it did, where Minecraft was this tiny project done by pretty much one guy who created this game, and it just blew up one day. Mm-hmm. And, you know, maybe this is something that allows for more of that kind of thing to happen. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when it's done by somebody like Xbox, is Xbox going to really promote something that is for the indie developer, or are they going to be promoting their own stuff first, mm-hmm. their own in-house things? And I don't know the answer to that. I mean, most of what we're talking about today, I think, is a kind of more of a philosophy of what the future of this mm-hmm. is. And in the same way, one of my big concerns about what the future could be for game streaming is save data.
Okay.
So when we have save data on a game that we own, it always stays there as long as we have the save data in our machine in some way. Mm-hmm. However, when we are playing games, this is a quote from Steve Messner of PC Gamer. He says, "With live service games like The Division 2, Destiny 2, and Anthem becoming so popular, subscriptions aren't always going to be cheaper than the alternative. These games are intended to be played continuously for months and years. But if you're paying monthly to play The Division 2 through Uplay Plus, and you play for a long enough time, you're going to end up giving Ubisoft far more of your money than if you had paid the upfront cost, mm-hmm. especially if, like Netflix, the cost of that subscription gradually rises over time. There's no guarantee that it won't, and at that point, all your progress and time spent is held hostage, locked unless you continue paying or pay the original retail price that you were trying to avoid in the first place. Mm-hmm. So much for being a great value." So my kind of question is save data an issue in the future of game streaming? Would it be fair to erase save data after a select period of time? And also, do we lose games access after periods of time? And would that affect the longevity of the streaming platform? So when you were talking about at the beginning, kind of this idea of, okay, I can try Ubisoft for 3 months. I can try mm-hmm. Microsoft for 3 months. Do I really want to do that if I'm going to be losing my save data after I cancel each subscription? Mm-hmm. And even if they promise, hey, we're going to hold on to your save data for a year or 3 months or whatever it is, that's still kind of pressuring me to always come back, which is a good business tactic, mm-hmm. but it's not something that I want to have to worry about consistently. And like, oh no, I really need to come back because I'm worried about this. I'm worried about losing my save data in Destiny, whatever. And he makes a really good point of, if you're the kind of gamer who's only playing Destiny 2, even like a World of Warcraft kind of game, mm-hmm. it's much more price efficient for you to be paying that $60 to play that game, if that's the only game you're playing all year, than it is for you to pay that $120, $180, whatever it ends up being. And I'm worried about my save data in the sense of, I don't want to have to pay to keep my save data. Mm-hmm. So, mm-hmm. I think that's my primary concern of game streaming's future.
All right. I like your 2 points, but I like my 2 points. So let's do a little back and forth here, talking about our points. Your first point of they're not really solving a problem that anyone's asking them to solve. And with that, I would disagree a bit, because for me, I do feel like it is a problem when I have to pay $60 each or every other month for a game, new big AAA title, and then I'm also paying $20 to $30 for each little indie game that seems interesting to me. I would much rather have a solution where it's just like even if it's $20-$25 a month, I would seriously pay that for Nintendo. When I saw this in Xbox Game Pass, I was like, man, this is an amazing deal. I'm not a huge fan of all of Xbox and Microsoft's games, so I'm like a little hesitant to it, even though they have more than just Microsoft. But if they would have said that was Nintendo doing the same thing, you bet I'd be jumping on it, because while over time, yes, you might be paying similar amounts. Like let's say it's $20 a month, you're gonna pay $240 through the year. Let's just keep with the Nintendo example, because that's who I know the most, at least right now. And let's see what Nintendo's games are coming out this year. We had Yoshi's Crafted World. We're gonna have Fire Emblem, Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon, and I'm missing one other one.
Yeah.
I mean, Animal Crossing got delayed, but let's say it didn't. I'm sure there's
Mario
another
Maker.
Mario Maker. There we go. Okay, so that's $240 right there. So that's the same amount.
Sure.
But I would also maybe get some extra backlog games that I can play through. There's games that maybe I wouldn't initially have played through, like Yoshi's Crafted World. We both played the demo and was like, that's kind of lame.
Yep.
But maybe if I own the game, because of that, or not own it, but I have the subscription to it, I would be a lot more willing to play it, because I'm not paying $60 directly to that game. So I would feel like, man, I want to play all these Nintendo games, but I don't necessarily want to fork out $60 individually for Yoshi's Crafted World or even for Fire Emblem. But now I have the chance to play them really with no consequence, because they're on subscription. And now I get the freedom to try many different games and get the variety and maybe find games that I didn't think I would ever play with originally.
Yeah. I had Xbox Game Pass for a while. I bought an Xbox One for having a cheap Blu-ray player, and I got a free 3 months of Game Pass with it. And so I messed around with it for 3 months, and honestly, the only game that I played was Lego Star Wars the whole time. And it really made me think about it in the sense of, because I get what you're saying of like, yeah, I want to be able to play with these games, and if I don't have any, I didn't have to fork out that $60 to begin with, I don't feel as bad about playing it. But, and this is kind of how I felt with GameFly as well, is I don't want to have to spend $15-$20 a month for basically a glorified trial service. And I really felt like with Game Pass, that's how I was treating it. Is here's a bunch of free trials of full games that I can play, but really I'm just going to come back to these few that I love playing. And I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing necessarily, but just more my gaming style is not really going to care about the hundreds of games. I'm just going to keep coming back to those few that I'm really interested in. And I remember me even treating Netflix like that when I first got it, was I'm just going to watch these couple shows that I really like, where I probably could have bought the DVD box set for a lot cheaper. But it's all about convenience. And so I don't know if, like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. It's just in the sense of what I will be using these streaming platforms for. There is almost no point for me to be doing more than, I think, one of these a month. Maybe two when Nintendo's comes out, because I will definitely be messing around with tons of Nintendo stuff.
If they come out with one.
Yes, absolutely.
Knowing Nintendo won't be for another 10 years.
Absolutely not.
And it will just be the SNES.
Only Super Nintendo games. Only Wii U ports. Like the Wii U bloatware. Like charades, eShop games. Oh man. But it's such a hard thing to honestly debate this without putting my own opinion into it. But I really do feel like when I was doing my research over this month, or this last week, I started seeing the negatives of game streaming, but I'm still super excited just to see where this goes. And I'm really excited to see how people use it, what people are doing with it, what games people are playing, if they're going to put out the statistics of how many people are playing what games. Because I think that article makes the really good point of saying, if we're going to pay a collective $180 a year to put all of my time into Watch Dogs, is that really worth it? Yeah,
I think it definitely benefits those who love starting games and not necessarily those who love finishing games
Right.
or continually playing games
Right.
over a long period of time. The interesting thing is, 10 years ago, there was already subscription-based gaming.
Mm-hmm.
It was just for these big MMORPGs like Warcraft, EverQuest. I'm sure there's a million others that I'm not familiar with.
Lego Universe.
But people were willing back then. I remember when EverQuest first came out, I think it was like $20 or $30 a month for one account for one game. And now we're talking about all of a sudden $10 a month or $15 a month for hundreds of games.
Yeah.
And so I think that is an improvement, at least in variety. You might be right that it's not as good of a deal for if you're just going to stick to one game. But for those who are variety gamers that want to just try new things, they aren't really interested in playing every single game to completion, I think it's going to be a great deal. Yeah. But I can see your point on, especially if you're just going to stick to one game, maybe it's not worth it at all at that point.
Right. So for sure, this is the future. That wasn't really our argument in this video of, is this the future of gaming? Because E3 has already decided for us, yes, this is the future of gaming, at least right now. Mm-hmm. And so where is it going? Is it sustainable? Are big questions after this. Mm-hmm. And I don't really have I don't think I have anything else really to say, except for I'm excited. Mm-hmm. I'm always excited for change in an industry, and this is maybe one of the biggest changes that could have been made. So
yeah, and even though I've been arguing the whole subscription-based thing is good, mm-hmm. we do have to keep in mind that most businesses are selfish, and as consumers, we're selfish.
Right.
And so the consumers want the best deal. Businesses, their goals, and it has to be their goals, is to make the most money.
Yeah.
Even if there's people that come out on stage at E3 and say, yeah, this is for the gamers. This is because we care about you. Mm. It's like, yeah, maybe you do, but really you also care about not losing all your jobs.
Right.
You have pressure from the stockholders to... You have an obligation to them to make the most money possible. Like that's legally your obligation.
Right.
With those public stock trading companies. And so it really could go either way, because both consumers are like, no, give us our value, and businesses like, yeah, we will. We'll try to sneak it in, but really we're thinking about how do we make the biggest buck that we can that's the most reliable dollar. And so that's where my argument was coming from, is that it's both good for both sides. Could that be false? We'll see.
Yeah, and I think that's something that only time will tell. And I think, at least for now, when I look at Netflix and Netflix slowly increasing their cost year after year, there is such a small amount of people I know who care that it has. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's jumped up $5 since it started or something?
Oh, probably more.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that I'm paying $16 a month for having the 4K add-on, and when Netflix started for us, we were paying $7.99. So it has doubled. And
can you imagine paying $30 a month for Ubisoft games?
Oh my gosh,
it doubled right now.
Yeah, right. Just oh my goodness. Yeah, no interest.
Oh my gosh.
No interest in Just Dance. But yeah, it's a very interesting concept. I'm excited to see where it goes, and woohoo capitalism.
Yes. So we'll end the debate there if you're good with that.
Yep.
So hit us up on Twitter. We're going to start 2 polls, as Zach said at the beginning of this video. First, we just love to hear your thoughts. So don't only vote on if you think subscription-based gaming is a good thing or a bad thing, but also feel free to comment below, because we'd love to read your specific comments and thoughts next week on the podcast. And then we will also open up a Twitter poll that just says, hey, listen to the podcast, who do you think won the debate? Yep. And you can either vote for Zach here, or you can vote for me, and we will keep tally and then maybe do something fun later on with the tallies.
Heck yeah.
All right, last up, anything fun you've been playing this week before we end the podcast that you wanted to make a comment about?
Yeah, I've been playing some Splatoon 2 with you guys. Thanks for joining in. I know Luke had a super successful stream last
I had
night.
7 people in a private battle. They all
crazy.
Came on the stream like, hey, let's just play a private battle between each other. So we had 7 different people. So if you own Splatoon, that seems like the party game for whatever reason. Everyone's coming in the live streams for that. So we'll probably make that one of our main focuses, especially another one will be Mario Maker 2 when that drops. But we've been loving Splatoon 2 streaming.
Yeah. And actually, one game that I played a little bit of this week with a couple people was Jackbox. And
Nice.
I got back into... I love Jackbox, and it really made me think this would be such a fun game to stream.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man.
And very inappropriate.
Absolutely.
I could see that going south so fast.
Absolutely. We would both lose our jobs. Man, it would be so much fun, though.
Private stream.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's possible, but...
only subscribers only.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really hope that I get a chance to play it. Jackbox Party Pack 5 just went on sale.
Mm-hmm.
So I might pick that up this week.
Nice.
But also, I played a little bit of Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, what did you think? I wasn't a fan. What about you?
I just love the Warriors kind of game. But here's... I guess I'm not a huge Zelda person. Like, I really enjoy Zelda, but I haven't dove into it as much as I would like to of all of these different Zelda games.
Yeah.
But I could really tell if you had played all of the Zelda games, there is so much fan service in that game.
Sure.
There's so many crazy characters that I have no idea who they are. But if you had dedicated all these years putting into Zelda games, it would just be incredible.
Maybe it's more of just a celebration for Zelda fans.
I think so.
Rather than like a game for anyone.
Yeah, I played One Piece Pirate Warriors a couple years back, and I definitely felt like it was a celebration of One Piece. It went through almost the entire storyline of One Piece at that time, and I just enjoyed playing it from beginning to end.
Right.
I still love the hack and slash style and playing all the different characters and just feeling like I'm super cool when the 1500 KOs thing shows up. I'm like, holy crap, man! I'm so good at this game.
Yes, you are.
That's what
And so is everyone else because it's so easy.
I know, but it's just it's a very fun, relaxing game. I have no problem with it. Not something I'm gonna buy, but definitely something I would for like $20-$30.
Yeah. I tried to get back into Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I just lost interest in it after trying it for the first week. Still not a fan of the combat system. I don't want to say it's a bad game, but I felt like it was too in-depth and complicated for me to get into it on a rental, and I don't think it's a game I'll ever buy. But I don't want to say it's a bad game. I know a lot of people love that game. Just not for me. It's not something I'm going to invest time to. So I sent it back so that we could get Final Fantasy 10-10-2.
Yeah, baby.
Also did Splatoon 2 and then Dead Cells. Those are my main two games right now. I'm just addicted to... Dead Cells is my single-player game. Splatoon 2 is my multiplayer game right now. And I'm feeling happy with both of those choices.
It's so fun. Have you been diving into the ranked mode at all, Splatoon?
I'm still level 8 now.
But have you've been playing any of those?
In private battles, we'd been doing the Rainmaker mode, which is a lot more fun than Turf War, in my opinion. So it's been giving me more interest. I'm still really bad at shooters with the controller. It feels so awkward. I used to hate shooters on the PC, but what I loved about them is that it's so easy to jump and move around at the same time. Yeah. And for whatever reason on the controller, it just feels so awkward as I'm trying to aim with the right stick and jump at the same time. Like, I haven't gotten used to it, so I don't know. I suck.
Yeah, probably. But play some Splat Zones if you get the chance.
Ooh.
That's a really fun mode.
Yeah, okay. I played it once.
Okay.
It's kind of like King of the Hill, right?
Yeah. It's really fun.
Okay.
I've been doing that a ton in ranked, so...
Man. All right, I'm looking forward. I'm going to hit level 10 this next week. That's my goal. Before Mario Maker 2 comes out, I at least have to get to ranked modes so that we're going to jump back into it.
Next Friday, isn't it? It's a week from today.
It's the 26th, so yeah.
Woo! Mario Maker hype. Have you pre-ordered it?
It's the 26th or 27th, I think. Yes.
Okay.
It's downloaded. It's ready to go.
Yeah, baby.
We'll stream it, and no one will watch because a million other people will be streaming it.
Yeah, but if you are watching us now, or you've been playing Splatoon with us, and you get that game, feel free. Just send us your levels that night. I'll probably do a late night stream of Mario Maker.
Nice.
Maybe we can do it together, whatever.
Sure.
But it would be so much fun if you guys just send us your level creations. We would be more than happy to play them live. So
that'd be cool. Awesome. You know what I just thought of? Is that if we want to do a dual stream, one of us could stream to YouTube, one of us could stream to Twitch at the same time, and see who gets more people in. But we're online with each other, with voice chat.
Right.
So it's like both of our voices in both streams.
Yeah, that could work.
That would be so weird.
That would be really weird.
And then you have those people who are watching both at the same time, picture in picture. That's how many fans we have. We can have enough audience for 2 streams for sure. For sure.
Yep, absolutely. I'm pumped.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for listening. Feel free to rate us on Apple Podcasts. If you do have Apple, that does help out a ton. You can also check out this podcast live on Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Then join in with our Splatoon 2 streams. What other streams we're doing? 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Monday through Thursday is our goal. And we loved hanging out with you guys in those live streams more than pretty much anything else we do, I would say, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So join in with us, play games with us, and we will have another podcast next week for you guys. Adios.
Later.
Sweet. Boo boo.
We're streaming, baby.
So, rather than send you this one so you can put in your own codes, I'll just send you the video because it's actually pretty easy to do. Cool. Bye.
Bye.
Not that anyone.